Yes, people, what's going on? Welcome back to the channel, Football Therapy with me, your host, Jan, as always, mate. I do hope you're doing well. Really do hope that. Welcome back to Chelsea news. Past the halfway point in the January transfer window now. Lots of stories in that shake it all about. Today, I want to discuss Chelsea being clear of PSR rule breaches, the Roman Abramovich financial irregularities situation, a bit more on Renato Veiga, him apparently wanting to stay at Chelsea. This Adyemi situation, of course, from Dortmund, Karim Adyemi, the young, fast transitional player. And the Nkunku price tag, apparently. So there's lots to get into in today's video. Thanks, as always, for joining me here on the channel. Thank you as always for supporting the content. Dropping a like on the video. If you want to subscribe, you're welcome to. Hit the bell if you choose to. And let's get into it. First of all, I just want to say, Erling Haaland has signed a 9.5-year deal to 2034, which will take him until he's 34 years old, right? Okay. Everyone laughed at Chelsea when we're doing it. Turns out maybe it was a smart thing to do, and it's something that's going to catch on. Except, for example, the difference, Cole Palmer signed a 9.5-year deal ultimately. Maybe 10.5 all included, certainly 9.5. But Cole Palmer is on probably a third or a quarter of the wages that Erling Haaland is at Manchester City. So look, they'll be very happy that they've locked him down. But in terms of financial risk, yeah, there's no if they are paying this guy £400,000 a week for the next decade, and he injures himself, they're screwed basically. So it's a much higher risk than Chelsea, especially with how much they rely on him. Look, they'll be happy they've locked him down. This isn't a Man City channel. I just quickly wanted to talk about it. Also, it relates to Chelsea, and it probably means they know something we don't, Man City, that they've got away with it, their alleged charges against the Premier League have been cleared. Got away with it. Anyway, it's relevant to Chelsea as well because, maybe Chelsea, Bluco, the sporting directors, were onto something with the long contracts, and other teams are starting to follow suit. Of course, Chelsea got in early doors when they could still amortize the costs over the length of contract. That's since been changed, but apparently clubs are still interested in doing it. Funny that. All right, let's speak about the Chelsea then. We have been cleared of all potential PSR breaches. In fact, no club was pulled up on it. Everyone's been very, very careful after what happened to Forest, Leicester in the Championship, Everton, the points deductions, etc. No one's breached financial fair play or profit and sustainability rules, should I say, including Chelsea. So Stefan Borson, the Man City fan that goes on TalkSport every other friggin' day until recently saying, well, Chelsea are in trouble. Yeah, Chelsea could get relegated, Chelsea. Turns out we're totally fine, mate. Knobhead. Also worth mentioning, the story's been circulating regarding Chelsea are speaking to the Premier League, of course, about the financial irregularities in when Roman Abramovich owned Chelsea. So, of course, the new owners, Chelsea owners, Bluco, they, even before they completed the purchase of Chelsea, and this is what Simon Johnson of The Athletic said, before they did that, they did their sort of meticulous due diligence, looked through the books, combed, fine-tooth comb, went through it, and they're like, this ain't right. If we're going to buy Chelsea, we need 200 million off the price because we might need to pay fines for this because we're going to tell the Premier League, we're going to tell the UEFA, we're going to tell the FA that there's this in the books. We're not going to buy Chelsea with this sort of dodgy accounting because we don't want to, pay the price. And there was agreed. Chelsea, the new owners, got a slight discount, and that money was put aside to potentially pay fines for what's coming. And of course they negotiated a very, very reasonable deal with UEFA. It was like £8 million or euros fine. Forgive me if that's incorrect, but I think it's about that. And they were like, yeah, don't worry about it. Thank you for telling us. Have this small fine. And there's a growing confidence reports suggest that this will be the same with the Premier League and that they'll be completely good to go, essentially, the Chelsea owners. They'll say they think they're going to avoid sporting sanctions. In fact, there's even some reports suggesting that other Premier League clubs, which just doesn't... because they're always out to get each other. They're out to kill each other, Premier League clubs. But there was a report suggesting that there was sympathy from other clubs towards the Chelsea owners because they'd inherited this. Whether that's true or not, whatever. But what is true is they reported this as soon as they bought Chelsea. They said, look, this isn't us. We want to sort it out. And there's a hopeful understanding that there will be no sporting sanctions of Chelsea, that there will be a fine, just like UEFA did with Chelsea. And who knows, if it's similar, a £10 million fine, say, they'll have £180 million free that they put aside to pay these fines. I don't know, we'll see what happens, but it looks to be positive so far. Alright, baby, let's get into some transfer news. So, yes, Patrick Berger, Sky Sports, German broadcaster, journalist, reporter, has spoken about Renato Veiga a little bit more. Of course, he has asked to leave to Chelsea for 6 months to go and play, but there have been reports that actually he doesn't want to leave Chelsea long term, which is strange. I don't know if that came out as like a response to this or... and that he maybe just sees the writings on the wall that the league phase is finished in the Conference League. He wants to play centre-back because that's where he plays for Portugal, so he wants to, like, establish himself as a centre-back and, you know, get that first-team place for the international team and, you know, be the guy, I guess. It'd be hard to get into that, because if everyone's fit, they've got, like, Ruben Dias and crew. But, yeah, and then he wants to go to play for 6 months, play every game, show he's really good in Europe, and come back and play for Chelsea. But if he wants to play centre-back, bro, it's tough, because... We've recalled Chalobah, but granted, it's probably only going to be for the 6 months. Probably going to sell Disasi this month, even though time is running out. And of course, we've been looking at a high-profile young centre-back like your Mark Guehi's of this world. Chelsea will return for him in the summer, or look for an alternative, that's for sure. But Patrick Berger is reporting that Borussia Dortmund have submitted an official offer for Renato Veiga. It includes a loan with an option to buy. Negotiations are ongoing and Chelsea are currently evaluating Dortmund's offer. Look, we've sort of spoken about Renato Veiga. I like him personally. If he goes, we'll get a profit on him. And touch wood, because this is not a given. We are going to hopefully be in the Champions League next season if we can finish in the top 5. We might finish outside the top 5. We might be outside the top 5 before we play again on Monday, guys. So we are, we are really on... just quickly, guys, on a fleeting tangent. We played pretty well against Bournemouth. We demonstrated that we can play really well, but there's just flaws. I've seen recent iterations of Chelsea where you just don't start games, or the whole game you look a bit clueless. We never really look clueless. We always look like there's times where we could actually be really good, which inspires confidence, but we'll see what happens there. But hopefully we're in the Champions League next season, and then you'll just maybe need that sort of high quality rotational options rather than a Conference League. To be fair, I mean, again, touch wood, we should win the Conference League, which will mean we'll automatically qualify for the Europa League, which... is actually a step up in European competition from this season. So there's hopefully that safety of being in the next good European competition, although the money's still substantially different, isn't it, in the Champions League. Renato Veiga, yeah, again, I'll just echo what I said before. He represents a really intelligent, positive signing for Chelsea, whose stock has flown up massively in the 6-7 months he's been with us. Whether he stays, whether he goes, he was a good signing and we'll make money from him or whatever. We'll see what happens there. Alright, worth mentioning Adyemi, of course, Karim Adyemi, is a divisive young player. He's very, very fast, that in the odd game can look absolutely ruddy, amazing. Matt Law reported originally that we're looking at him. Of course, we're obviously speaking to Dortmund because of the aforementioned Renato Veiga deal. He amended this, he tweeted this, or he posted on X this, Matt Law. Slight amendment, told Chelsea are not negotiating to buy Karim Adyemi for Jan or the summer. They have a list of forwards and wingers they have made contact on, including Mathys Tel, of course. Adyemi could be a loan option if nothing comes off of CFC. So obviously there's dialogue there. Chelsea aren't actively trying to get him, but I wonder if, for example, behind the scenes already, Mudryk confirms that he can't play and he's going to have a sentencing soon, and Chelsea can't get cover out left, and they want, I don't know, but he's a transitional. He's quite like Mudryk. He's very fast and transitional. He doesn't seem like the kind of winger that Enzo Maresca would want at Chelsea in the current system. To be honest, I saw a stat on social media recently about how all the creativity is coming from Enzo Fernandez and Cole Palmer and even Jackson. Like, the wingers really aren't doing anywhere near as high creative numbers as they should be, which might be something to consider. I mean, maybe that's a systemic thing in Maresca's team, that they do different stuff. They do 1v1s, they progress into the box and try and score themselves, and the creativity comes from, down the middle, maybe. But it was, rather interesting / disappointing to see that. Guys, I want to reference something I heard on the Straight Out of Cobham podcast, which is the athletic podcast for Chelsea, well-informed pieces of news from the likes of Liam Twomey and Simon Johnson. Now, the interesting thing with Nkunku, this kind of made me think, wow, okay. A lot of people thinking he's going this month, or he could be, but apparently Chelsea wants £65 million for Christopher Nkunku. Now, I'm not saying as a player quality he's not worth that money. And maybe, obviously, you, of course, you think January, plucking a good player out of January, you're going to pay a premium on that. And maybe that's what Chelsea thinks, 65 million. But Chelsea bought Nkunku for what, 52 million? So that's a 13 million pound profit on a player who's already 18 months chipped into, not an insanely long contract, a normal contract, and was injured the entirety of the first season, so he hasn't even played that first season. And the second season, he's second choice, but yet you want to make a significant profit on him in terms of the transfer value, and what would be a massive profit on the book value, which would already have diminished a little bit. I don't know, man. Like, I thought if we could get our money back on Nkunku, it would be like, thank you very much. He's a great player. He'll suit someone else better. But to price Bayern Munich out of a move right now, it's pretty crazy if you ask me. I do wonder if someone just if he himself, the player Nkunku, went to Chelsea. Come on, guys. I want to play. It's not working. Can you sell me now, please? If he put in a sort of quiet transfer request, a respectful quiet transfer request, and Bayern Munich waved 50 million quid under Chelsea's noses and said you could buy Mathys Tel, then I think maybe something could be done. But really ambitious transfer price there from the Blues. With Mathys Tel as well, a lot of people, he's a player that's got the streets, as I like to say. He's very talented. He is versatile, but again, he's not the finished product. And I know he's 19, so he's super young. So he'll be the understudy to Jackson, which doesn't really solve many problems. It would solve a problem in you've actually got a striker, like a guy who can play striker well, to come off the bench and make a difference. And if he's in form, bench Jackson, rather than an Nkunku, who everyone agreed now isn't a striker. So you actually got one. And I know Mark Hughes exciting and presses like a maniac, but he's different. He's not the same sort of profile. He's kind of like a sort of plan B. You need a plan B in terms of same profile, different player first, before you throw on like a wrecking ball like Mark Hughes on there, in my opinion. So there would be that. Mathys Tel it suits the sort of MO of Chelsea, young player, potential, etc., versatile. But many Chelsea fans will be like, no, we want the Victor Gyökeres, who's now being unsurprisingly linked to a summer move of Manchester United to play under Amorim. And I could see the allure. He popped off under Amorim or whatever. Isak's just going to be absolute insane money. I mean, look, he's the dream, isn't he? Alexander Isak. But he'll cost you 120 odd million quid. I mean, you wouldn't be able to get him now out of Jan. They are above us in the Premier League, Newcastle. They're not in Europe. They're going to get Champions League. Why are they going to get Champions League? Well, because Alexander Isak scores every single game. Champions League football is worth a lot of money. So you're basically saying, yeah, well, if we're Celio Isak, we're not going to get in the Champions League. We're not going to get like extra sponsorship money or whatever, negotiate that. We're not going to get the allure of new players. We're not going to get the Champions League money. It's just not worth it. It's like when Palace wouldn't sell Wilfried Zaha because he kept them in the Premier League when he was popping off all the time. It's just not worth it. Like I don't know if 120 million pounds would do it in January, you know. But I understand why he's like the holy grail. And in terms of young strikers, you know, I would feel good about a Liam Delap personally. Put Liam Delap in Chelsea, give him loads of chances in the box, do you know what I mean? And see him score more than Jackson. He might not be as good as Jackson in the other stuff, like link-up play, but if you just want someone to score in the box. And then, of course, there's the Osimhen scenario. Are we gonna do that? If we do sign a striker in January, I think it will be because Nkunku goes, personally. Nkunku can't play out wide, even if we think we're short a winger, or Chelsea do in the absence of Mudryk. Nkunku, you know, we don't need Nkunku to play in the Cole Palmer, Joao Felix role. We've got plenty of cover there, especially now, you know, the league phase is done. There's less games in the Conference League or whatever. We just don't need him. We don't need Nkunku. So if Chelsea find a way to sell Nkunku and reinvest that money into a striker this January, then you might see them go all out for, I think an Isak is just impossible, but maybe like an Osimhen or something like that. That seems like it could happen. All right, guys, let me know what you think. As always, thank you for joining me. Please leave your thoughts down in the comment section below. Thank you for liking and subscribing to this channel, Football Therapy. Daily videos, of course. So keep coming back, and I will keep giving you the news. All right, peace.